Hello. So the question I keep getting asked is it time to sell? So the answer to that question is yes, it's time to sell. We're in a very hot market. It's a seller's market. The reality is that today we sold more homes this year than we did last year. Even if we go to January this month compared to January last year's months, we saw a 4.7% increment in sales right here in Dade County. So people are saying, but there's no inventory. Yes, there's inventory. What's happening is that it's moving a lot faster. The days in the market are very shortened, by the way. So it's moving a lot quicker. So if you wanted to sell your property, for example, and then you're going to tell me, well, there's no inventory. And then what happens if I sell? Where would I move to, or what would I do? How could I solve that problem? So realistically speaking, you need to have a plan. If you want to sell your property, first of all, I would tell you to do a couple of things. Why we want to sell your property? I mean, the reason most people want to sell is maybe they want to downsize. Maybe you're in a 4-bedroom house and your kids went to college already or they're out of the house and you want to downsize and you want to get some kind of capital gain out. Usually you want to hold until, the average American lives in their property for 7 years. When you start passing, the 10-year mark, you also got to think about the maintenance of the property, changing the roof, stuff, certain costs that actually will just, they'll take that the property will need throughout the years, right? Like, like new roof or just maintenance, updating the kitchen and stuff, right? So maybe you feel your house is at that point that you might have to start putting, updates and stuff to it, right? So your decision is maybe I want to sell right now, get the equity out and get myself into a newer property. So in order to do that, you would need to have a plan. And I would love to talk to you. I have different strategies, right, to how to work that out. I personally, my last 3 sales have been those sales where sold the house and got those sellers, then they became buyers into a property. And yeah, nobody wants to move twice, so we need to do it in one step. You sell your property and get you into the new property. Is that possible? Yeah. Is it happening? Yes. So, for example, how do I do it? Let me share with you a couple of my strategies because that whole idea is to have a plan. And not only have a plan, I think the name of the game at this point, it's called speed. So what I do is when somebody wants to sell a property and they want to buy a property, the first thing is to try to understand why they're selling the property, how much money do we need out of the property, how much equity are we going to be left, look at the numbers, go through the exercise of getting the numbers right. Then if you are going to opt to get a bigger house or, a more expensive home or something similar, we would also get your finance part in touch, get to the loan officer, your mortgage broker, your loan officer, or whoever you're dealing with to actually have everything ready for you, get you pre-approved, get your scenario. So we have all the things in places, right? So we'll know we could take a wild estimate, not wild, we take a correct estimate of how fast we could sell your property, depending on how well we price it in the market. And we could ask for a late closing, for a 60-day closing, which that's what I did last time. That'll give you time to look for a property. Now, once we do that, I also like to say, now let me treat you as a buyer. When I deal with buyers, the first thing is that it's very important when I do with buyers, I need for them to sit down with us and have a buyer's meeting. What do I do in that buyer's meeting? Why is it important to sit down? Because it's very important for me to get the buyer to understand the process of buying. Right? We look at the contract, right? We look at the contract so we could understand how the contract works. We look at the MLS, so we could look at the data, so we could see how fast properties are coming in. Now, why is it important to have your buyer look at the data? Because data, it's data creates confidence in the information. It's not me telling the buyer, look, there's no inventory, or there is. So one of the things that we do, and especially here at an Avanti way, we have micro data, right? We have the system called Avex that actually helps us as realtors break down the data to micro places and actually analyze neighborhoods, apartment buildings to get you the right information. Because when you have the right information, you're gonna make a quick decision. So one of the things I tell the buyers, it's one thing. I walk into the contract. When we do a contract, we could check the little box that says that you have 3 days to give your deposit. And we also have an inspection period. So when we have an offer, the offer is really, composed of different elements. And it's not always the highest price. Like we know price is important. First deposit, second deposit important. Inspection period is very important. and now another, if it's a finance deal, the operational contingency, right? So in this market, we know that you might waive you're going to be expected to pay more than appraised value, because in this market there's appraised value and there's market value, and we are pretty much dealing with market value. So one of the things that we do is we could put an offer, check the box that you will give your deposit within 3 days if accepted, put an inspection period, usually it's 10 days down to 7 days, right? So when the property comes out, and I also expect the new buyers to be on Zillow, to be also be, we'll all be looking out for what's new coming out, right? So we do this automatic searches, so you could get information right away. But once we see something that we like the pictures, and then we kind of know the neighborhood. I mean, with Google, with Google, you could get on, and Google Maps, you could see the streets and get a really kind of a good idea, drive the area pretty well. And even if sometimes I got clients tell me, I want to live in that neighborhood, so I'll door knock that neighborhood looking for that property that we're looking for. But we set our sights on that property, and as soon as something comes out, boom, we're going to hit it with a contract. We're going to send our offer right away. Now, that client, could put that offer. We could go see the house the next day, or when we see the house, right? And if we don't, if our offer gets accepted, we have 3 days to give the deposit. Now, if we go see the house and we don't like the house, we could always back out of the deal, right? Without ever giving any money down, because within the 3 days, and then we have the inspection period. So it's a way to be really, really quick. I mean, in this market, if you want to go see the property, and by the time you go see the property, and it's on a weekend, it's going to be an open house, there's going to be like 10, 15 people there, there's going to be multiple offers coming on the table. So the quicker you are to sending that first offer, right, the higher your chances you get in the property. I mean, usually as realtors, as we get the offers, we tend to look at the offers in the order they came in. Meaning that if I get 6 offers and I get one of the highest, maybe highest one, and there's offers that came in first, I will respectfully go back and probably call back those realtors and say, listen, we got a multiple scenario, and I'm going to give them the opportunity to come in with the best and highest offer they have, right? And give an opportunity for them to actually bid at the to get a second time to bid at the property. So the name of the game, I would say that it's speed. So there is ways, and there's people buying properties, right? We just gotta have a strategy. So if you're thinking, should I sell my property now? And then actually this one I would advise you, please give me a call, talk to me about this, we could talk about it. If we have a plan, listen, this is where I want to sell, this is where I want to live, I like that neighborhood, we could look at the neighborhood, we could look at your finances. So we got to have everything set up so we could have a strategy, right, that will make this as stressful free as possible. But it's with that quickness that we have to work. And if we could align ourselves, right? Number one, you working with, I as a realtor has to get the confidence of the buyer, right? To work with me and understand the process, right? And we could do the process all together, then we could get this thing done. I've been successfully doing, the beginning of this year, I've done 4 transactions, and actually 8 transactions, because they're both been buying and selling. So I've been able to sell the properties, to sell the property and get the buyer into a new property. And I won't lie to you, they're been very, stressful. Every little way to closing, every transaction brings their own challenges. But when there's a plan in place, and there's a vision and there's a strategy behind it, everything gets done on time. I hope that information was helpful. So feel free to reach out if I have any more questions that you would like for me to answer. Thank you.